Last week I got an interesting email from Rory Duff. He told me he couldn't resist it. He'd been remote dowsing and found a new node, and would I go out there? This is the picture that he sent to me, showing his work and where this node was on the pagan line, crossing with another Type 4 line. Well, I pretty soon discovered where this was using mappy.cz, and you can see it's indicated by the number 1 on the map. It is just a little bit further up to the northwest from Yilava. I'm going to have a go at pronouncing the name. Chernova Rzhitcha. Yeah, what a mouthful. Anyway, I'd never heard of the place, but I was happy to go up there and find 3 interesting sites as shown on this map. The first was the church dedicated to Mary Magdalene and first referenced in the 13th century. Now, this church is where I found the node. It's the first place I visited, and I found the node straight away. There was a road around the church, and I was able to walk around this and readily map 4 energy currents from 2 Type 4 lines, where the male and the female lines obviously switched somewhere in the vicinity of the church. On further investigation and asking my rods where the node actually lies, it seemed to be actually in this entrance vestibule here, where you can see that sort of oblong light tile on the floor opposite this grotto or this shrine dedicated to Mary Magdalene herself. This is where the energies were very strong and where my rods indicated the node lay. Now, I couldn't actually get into the church because unfortunately it was locked, and all I could do was peer through the wire to have a look inside. I did take numerous walks around the church, both on the road and around the grassy area, just looking for signs, symbols, any other sort of evidence, in fact, that there was a node here or that something pre-existed. Now, I was told later on that this part of the church here was the oldest, and that even though the church was built and first recorded in the 13th century, it was likely older, or there was some structure that was older. Walking around the road outside, the square here, and then down around the back of the church, I got multiple different views of it, and also saw a number of things that might be of interest. One was this strange design on a gate, which looks for all the world like a pine cone or something similar, pineal gland reference perhaps. There were also numerous small shrines around the church sited on some of the energy currents coming in to the node at the church, like this one. A little further around, I found a natural well spring type thing with some form of design of a figure, even dressed with a hat. Now, I know people do this, but again, it's always intriguing to me when you find these things on a line. There was also this post that had been carved into Slavic designs, which also was on a line coming into the church. Then there was this. This apparently used to be the font, and the font used to be placed right where the node was, I'm told, opposite the shrine to Mary Magdalene. Quite a beautiful shrine, particularly situated by the node where you could feel the energies. Walking around the village, mapping the lines coming in, I discovered this additional church, Church of Corpus Christi, another 13th century church, on a line. Apparently this church originally was in a graveyard. And then, to my utter amazement, I came across this. I had no idea that this nor the 2 churches were there, but this castle was quite amazing. It's privately owned, it is open to tours, and it is being partially reconstructed with some archaeological work going on. This was the Archbishop of Prague's summer residence, and magnificent it must have been. Now, the interesting thing was that when I actually decided to go in, I was approached by a lady associated with the castle that told me all kinds of history and interesting information about the village and this site in particular, how it was on the Salt Trail, how it was on the Amber Trail, and how where these paths originally went, where this particular castle started to be built, which was the oldest bits which had been added subsequently. And one of the interesting things that I discovered was that this lay on the positive energy current of the other Type 4 line that Rory had remote dowsed. Now, the interesting thing about that is that often you find places like courts where laws are set, castles, etc., on these positive lines. But the lady told me that the oldest part of this castle was this round tower, and she actually let me in to the underneath of the round tower, which was a bit of a mess, not reconstructed and damp, etc. But the energies there were absolutely astounding, made me dizzy. And it seems to me that these round towers, like the one that we found in JH as well on a female line, have some peculiar way to accentuate the energies of a line, and that this castle was built on this line specifically and deliberately. The kind lady then showed me all around the rest of the castle, and this area apparently is a graveyard, and she said the graves were very shallow because it's very rocky soil. All in all, a magnificent day of discovery and so much to follow up on both here and in the surrounding area. But that is for another video. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed. Please do like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.